So guys, welcome back to my GS300, my mighty cheap Lexus GS300. We're actually basing today's video inside this car because I thought, well, it's a perfect place to make a cool YouTube video. But today's video isn't about my GS300, although we're using it as a sort of set today. I want to talk about 6 underrated, maybe cheap at the moment cars that could be possible investments. Now, I've done videos like this in the past where we've done sort of obvious cars. Today, we're going to go down the route of cars that are probably overshadowed at the moment. I'm going to get some comments on this video, and I know. So please leave some comments below and tell me that I'm completely wrong and I've completely lost my mind, or these cars might follow its predecessors and become maybe sought after, worth some money at some point. I feel like the 6 I've compiled are personal favourite cars of mine, cars that I maybe haven't even been around to be able to shoot for the channel. But again, leave some comments below. Let me know what you could buy right now that is a possible hot hatch investment. That's what we're going to hit here. Hot hatches from previous eras, 90s, maybe even early noughties at the moment, are already increasing in price. So I'm always looking for the next big thing, the next generation that is going to go up. And this isn't just monetary based, it's ticking a car off the list that you may want, but also knowing your investment is safe. Maybe you're going to make a couple of grand in it, maybe you're going to put a couple of grand in it. It's always nice to come in and out of cars with not too much cost to yourself. They could be investments, but please don't take this for the be all and end all of how to spend your money on cars. I am a prime example of terrible car buying. We're of course going to go back on eBay and see if we can actually find any of these vehicles for sale right now, what sort of prices you're going to be paying for the cars and for the mileage. But enough waffle, let's get on with the video. So the first car is going to be a car that I shot a couple of years ago now. It's an Astra nurburgring VXR. Now I know it's a bad start to the video. Few people don't like the Astra VXR range, but I feel like the nurburgring, because it was a low limited run batch of cars with the stripe over the top, the white multi-spoke wheels, I feel like these cars have already sort of gone down in history as being a limited run of a performance hot hatch that has sort of been overshadowed. But I feel like after driving one and after seeing the prices and how they have increased over the last couple of years, I feel like these could be possible cars that you could jump in now, enjoy for a couple of years and come back out and it would owe you as much as you spent on it. Keeping in mind that the gearbox doesn't fall out and the pistons don't go everywhere. So we're going to jump on my phone, we're going to go onto eBay, the eBay app, and I'm going to type in Astra Nürburg, if I can spell it correctly, Nürburgring. So it's come up in cars. Now, there is one for sale. Now, the last time I looked at these on here, there were a few for sale. The only one is £7,000, as you'll see. It has the white multi-spoke wheels with the stripes over the top, Nürburgring badging on the seats, yep. So that is, let's just have a look, 114,000 miles. So not a low mileage example. 593 of 835, so that's how many were made. Again, a very low number for a hot hatch in my opinion. I believe the last time we sort of looked into it, about 2 years ago when I actually shot a Nürburgring, there was around 500-600 left because they'd been crashed, you know, split down for parts, all that sort of stuff. Now, I'm just taking this on face value of every single car I stumble across today, but, yeah, Nürburgring, it's got Bilstein coilovers, gearbox refreshed, says 6995 at the bottom there, but yeah, I feel like that's, again, it's not a shout. I don't know the car, I haven't looked at it whatsoever, but that is the only one I can find for sale. There is Corsas, but I'm after the Astra VXR in this circumstance this time's round, and there's one on eBay. I'm looking today and there is one. So the next car is probably going to be a fan favourite. Now, I don't think, it was years ago now, but I don't think recently we've actually shot an ST200 Ford Fiesta. Now, this is going to be a controversial one, I think, because this is like the last, sort of, it isn't the last, but it's one of the last Mark 7s that they made. Cool colour, good example of a car, nice suspension, all this sort of stuff. It was a really, really good factory car. A lot of them, again, have been modified, so we're going to try and find one with no modifications, so ST200, not Monday, Fiesta from the Mark 7 era. Please let me know again in the comments below. These were what? 17, 18, maybe 19 grand from the factory. And again, we've got a couple here. There's a very good mileage one, actually. Let's see if it's written off, shall we? Because that's the first thing I've got to look at. Yeah, so this one is category S and category N. Don't know if that's written off twice or it's just come up twice, but a written off one's 10 grand there. So we'll come back off that one because, again, that's not really, again, we're not after investments. We just want to make sure our money is, you know, going in the right place. So say these were 16 grand, 17 grand. There's one here, the first one that's unmodified, looks unmodified. Change the colour of the wheels, get a couple of bits, AirTech intercooler. But I mean, nothing that can't be reverted back to stock if you wanted it to, or maybe you want a, you know, a modified one. 58,000 miles, 15 grand. That is. The next one up is from Rev It Up. We actually shot there a few years ago. This looks like a relatively standard example. Stage 3 car, Voodoo, so shout out AT Motorsport. But it looks standard, but it is a stage 3 car, 330 horsepower. Huge spec. So that's 16.5 grand. Let's go to the next one with 16,000 miles. Now I feel like this one would probably be the one that I would put my money into because of the mileage. It looks like it is, you know, got 12 months warranty with it. Doesn't say how many owners, but I would look into the ownership and how many owners have had this car, because at that mileage, if you can find, again, a low owner, low mileage one, that's what they came out of the factory at price wise. So they haven't gone up or down, and this is a 17 plate car, so a few years down the line now, it's still commanding good money. And although there is a sea of Mark 7s out there, I feel like if you were buying a Mark 7 at the moment, this would be the one to possibly invest in. You're going to get out what you put in this car. But let's get on to the next car. Now, a personal favourite car of mine, actually, that I'm still yet to really delve into on this channel. I've shot a few of the R26 Meganes, but not an R26R. So this was, of course, made famous, I think, on Top Gear. Richard Hammond had one. He showed it off with a couple other hot hatches at the time. And if I'm looking for an R26R, so the genuine proper R26R, this was 28.5 grand. They were 30s, mid 30s when they came out. So again, that's not a lot of money that it's actually lost. In Glacier White, Renault Megane, Renault Sport R26R limited edition, number 57 of 230. I believe these had the polycarbonate windows, most of the stuff stripped out of them from factory. And yeah, as it says right here in the actual read-up, front wheel drive nurburgring lap record back in 2009, 8 minutes 17 seconds, which is ballistic. If you've ever been around the nurburgring, you'll know full well that that's very fast. But yeah, this one's, it looks nice. Again, on face value on the market at the moment, there is one. This is the only one for sale, and this is what I'm saying about some of these cars. There's only a few for sale in 2023, so as the years go on, these cars might, again, yes, go up in price, but the availability of these cars may go down. There isn't actually another one on here. The one underneath it isn't an R26R, so the limited number, limited run version of that car. But even if you look down, a lot of the Meganes at the moment are going up. So an R26 F1 edition there in blue, 9.5 grand with 100,000 miles. These cars are becoming more sought after and more expensive. Next up, a personal favourite of mine, a car that not a lot of people actually know exists. It's the Mark 5 Golf GTI Pirelli edition. Now, this was, and I remember it coming out, or, you know, that era of it coming out, because I love the Mark 5 GTI, and I still do today. I'm still yet to actually own one. They had cool seats, they had the yellow paint, which, of course, you'd get a yellow one. It just looked the absolute nuts. I loved the way they look. So, now we'll put it into eBay, have a look. I don't think I'm going to find a yellow one. They're quite hard to find, yellow ones, in my opinion. But we will put it in Golf GTI Pirelli edition, see what comes up. And the first one, actually, funnily enough, I found a yellow one. So yellow is the one I would go for because, I mean, it's a cool colour. And I think, if I remember correctly, again, leave a comment below, blast me in the comments, but they only did this colour in the Pirelli, if I remember correctly. So this is the one I would be buying if it was my money. 2008. 230 horsepower DSG Pirelli edition in the yellow with the seats. See the seats, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the seats are actually tyre marks going through the interior, which is such a cool thing. Like, I really, really like that. And full service history, DSG low mileage, 40,000 miles, 11.5 grand, well, £12,000 that one is. I don't think that's that bad. I think that's a really, really good price considering that these cars were always sought after. I've never seen them drop, you know, really below 8-9 grand. So they've of course gone back up. Let's just have a look. There's a silver one here, and this is one of 222 apparently UK cars. 2-door, which is very cool because they only really, I've only ever really seen them in a 4-door variant. 62,000 miles, believed to be one of 5 cars in this trim, 3-door silver disc. You come back out of there, the only ones that are sort of for sale here are black ones. So you've got a black one up there for 9 grand. That's really not a bad, it looks like an import though. Let's just have a look. Yeah, so that one looks like an import at £9,000. And yeah, there's a couple of black ones, but as you can see, black ones are relatively, you know, easy to get hold of. You're going to pay a premium for a silver or a yellow, I think, but I feel like that is one of the coolest cars. Again, again, I come from the Mark V GTI era of that car being sort of the prominent car that I wanted. So that'll always go down to me as one of the ones I would probably invest in if I had the chance. So next up is a car I actually know not a lot about. I've never shot one on the channel, but I think, if I remember correctly, it's the last generation of the GTI Peugeot name, and it's the 208 GTI. Now, I know nothing about these cars because they were that publicised. I don't feel like I've seen many of them. I don't get offered many on the channel, or if any. So I've never actually had the opportunity to jump into one of these cars, but they sort of look like they hark back to the original 106s and 205s, just a bit more bigger, maybe slightly slower than the older stuff because of safety and all these other things. But I feel like this could be an unsung car at some point. This could be one of the last GTI named or branded. And as we put it in the first one, I've actually gone low to high on this. The first one, little bit ropey, I think. Pretty cheap though, £3,000 that first one. Let's go to a relatively low mileage one, because I wouldn't want to have a higher mileage one. So there's one, 41,000 miles in black, manual. And again, they don't look like anything special. They don't look crazy. You've got the GTI badging on the side, GTI badging on the back. And again, I've never been around one of these. Please tell me in the comments below if you've been around one, if you've driven one. Pretty cool seats in them, but maybe, just maybe, they will follow suit of the others. I know the 206 GTI at the moment, it seems to be a bit of a grey area. I see them for £500 and I see them for like 5 grand. I don't understand that. They're a bit all over the place. Let's say 20 years down the line. Bit of an oddball car, but I feel like that could be something that maybe one day you look back and go, oh my God, I remember them and I never really owned one, drove one, were around one. And then you'll go back and realise there's none left. They've all blown up. They've all been crashed or scrapped. And suddenly they're worth good money. Now, the last one is going to be the biggest curveball and the most forgotten car, because even when I was growing up, there was only a few of these around and I never really got a chance to experience one, never got to experience one for the channel, but it's the Fiat Punto HGT. Now, this was a car that I, again, have never really been around, don't know a lot about. It's not a super hot hat, be-all end-all, crazy, fire-breathing vehicle, but there doesn't seem to be any for sale whatsoever. So I've put Fiat Punto HGT into eBay. Absolutely nothing comes up, bar some press release photos of a yellow one. So again, we're in 2023 and you still can't even really find these cars. We'll put turbo in just to see what else comes up. And yeah, we've got a Mark 1 turbo shell there. We've got newer ones. Yeah, other than that, I'm going to go over to Facebook Marketplace because this might be the only place we're going to be able to find one of these. So Punto HGT. So yeah, for the life of me, I cannot find a HGT, nor can I find a turbo for sale. Because I feel like that era, either the turbos were broken down, the engines were put in other cars, they rusted out, or the HGT was just never that sporty, so no one really cared and no one bought them. So what I'm going to do is leave the last car, either a Fiat Punto HGT, so a 1.8 litre 16 valve 3-door, maybe in yellow. If you can find links to these cars for sale, let me know in the comments below. Or a Fiat Punto Turbo, a car that I remember very well, but again, we've just found a shell of one for £200. Let me know in the comments below and I will see you all on the next video.